The scene opens in the United States, a country gripped by a harsh, authoritarian rule. The government, backed by a deeply biased police force, enforces racist and anti-immigrant policies, proudly promoting the belief that white supremacy is the ultimate standard. Amid this climate of oppression, our story focuses on a determined revolutionary named Bob Ferguson. Bob has one mission, one goal: to rescue the immigrants currently held in a military detention camp. Bob doesn't go alone. By his side is his beloved partner, Perpidia Beverly. Together they prepare to embark on this daring mission, not just as a rescue, but as an act of rebellion against the oppressive government.
Press me.
Team 2's entry.
While Bob and the team are busy rescuing the captives, Perpidia Beverly finds herself facing the top officer of the camp, Colonel Locke. Little does anyone know, the colonel has an unusual fascination for women with exotic features, like Perpidia. Choosing not to resist, he lets her go. But not without a chilling promise. One day, he will find her again. Since the success of that mission, Bob and Beverly have kept pushing the limits, pulling off riskier, adrenaline-fueled operations. Yet, unbeknownst to them, the colonel has been silently watching, not interested in their crimes, but captivated by Beverly, the woman who has captured his heart. One day, seizing an opportunity when Beverly is alone in the bathroom, he approaches her. His words are calm but unmistakably commanding. "I don't care what you do, but if you want to keep playing this game, meet me at the hotel, alone." From that moment on, Beverly found herself forced to comply with the colonel whenever he demanded, all while keeping this secret from her husband, Bob. She did it reluctantly, a heavy burden she bore to protect their team and to ensure the success of their future missions. By keeping the colonel satisfied, she could keep him quiet about everything they had done, safeguarding their cause and the lives of those they were trying to save. Some time passed, and Beverly gave birth to a baby girl they named Willa. The question lingered: who was the biological father? Bob, her husband, or the colonel? Surprisingly, Beverly didn't dwell on it. Her mind was consumed with action, revolution, and the next mission. Just 1 week after giving birth, she was back in the field, ready for an even more daring operation. At the National Bank, Beverly crossed the line. With full awareness, she deliberately shot a defenseless security guard. She tried to flee from the pursuing police, but in the end, Beverly was caught, becoming the tragic end of her wild, relentless adventures. In private, Colonel Zhao met with Beverly to inform her of the legal consequences for all her crimes. It was here that the colonel saw his chance to take complete control over her. He offered a deal. Beverly had to reveal the names of every member of her group and live in the colonel's private residence if she wanted to be freed from all the charges against her. After Beverly accepted the colonel's offer, she officially moved into a comfortable house within the compound. At the same time, the police began hunting down each member of the revolutionary group, including Bob and their baby. Forced into a corner, Bob had no choice but to flee, leaving the settlement behind. For Beverly herself, after spending only a few days living inside the residential compound, she finally decides to run away from the colonel, not because she's afraid, not because she feels guilty, but because Beverly seems far more comfortable living on her own terms. And what's even more shocking, she never once tries to look for Bob or even for the baby she left behind, as if cutting ties was a choice she had already made long ago. 14 years later, this is Willa now. The baby who once meant nothing to her mother has grown into a teenage girl, living a quiet, peaceful life with her father, Bob. They stay in a small, remote house, far away from the city, far from the noise, far from the past. But distance doesn't always mean safety, because at this moment, the government has launched a massive operation to hunt down former revolutionary members, even those who retired long ago. And Bob is still on that list. Meanwhile, Colonel Locke is summoned by a high-ranking government official to prove where his loyalty truly lies. He's interrogated relentlessly, question after question, all aimed at one thing: absolute loyalty to America and loyalty to their race, the belief that white people are superior to all others. The irony? We all know the Colonel has always been drawn to women of black descent, but power demands sacrifice. And for the sake of his career, his rank, and his position, Colonel Locke is ready to abandon everything else.
Ever engaged in an interracial relationship?
No, sir.
Driven by fear of being tracked back to a relationship he tried to erase 14 years ago, and haunted by one terrifying question: what if the child Beverly gave birth to is actually his? That fear pushes Colonel Locke to act. He launches a quiet investigation, no paperwork, no witnesses, no mercy. The search for Willa begins, and it starts the only way he knows how, by capturing one of the former revolutionary members who still lives in the city, someone from the past, someone who knows too much, because to the Colonel, loose ends are dangerous, and secrets must be buried before they resurface, to be interrogated about where his former comrades fled, and who might still be hiding.
Bob and Willa Ferguson. They're up in Backtown Cross.
After obtaining the location of Bob and Willa's hideout, the Colonel and his forces immediately moved in. At the very same time, Willa asked for permission to go to a party with friends her age. Bob hesitated, clearly uneasy about letting his daughter go out.
Listen, I'll tell you something, whatever you do to her, I'm doing that exact same thing to your entire family. I'm not.
Well, me too.
When Willa arrived at the party, a woman suddenly approached her, claiming to be a former revolutionary member. She warned Willa that she and her father, Bob, were in danger. With no time to explain, Willa followed the woman without hesitation.
Come on, baby, come on! Go, 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 go!
At the same time, Bob was contacted by a fellow former revolutionary, warning him that Colonel Zhao and his forces were already on their way to capture both him and Willa. After being informed that Willa had been secured first, Bob quickly disappeared into a hidden underground tunnel, just as the forces broke into his house.
He's a bomber.
After escaping the raid, Bob fled to the city to seek help from his closest friend. In the current situation, the Colonel has deployed all available forces to conduct a massive search, making it extremely difficult for Bob to find a safe place to hide. This is Sergio, Bob's close friend, a businessman with a strong sense of social responsibility. This is proven when Sergio takes Bob to his private home, where dozens of undocumented immigrants are secretly sheltered to keep them from being detected by the police. After a few minutes of rest in this place, several officers suddenly break in to conduct a search. With no other choice, Bob is forced to escape by climbing onto the rooftop, fleeing alongside a group of teenagers who are undocumented immigrants hiding there. Because Bob isn't as agile or as quick as they are, he struggles to keep up. He can't perform the same parkour moves, jumping, sprinting and swinging from one point to another, so... Not long after Bob falls from the rooftop, he's captured by the police, who stun him until he loses consciousness. News of Bob's arrest quickly reaches Sergio, who immediately begins preparing another plan to free Bob from the authorities. Cut to a new location as she arrives at a secret safe haven reserved specifically for black women. She's warmly welcomed by everyone there, thanks to the legacy and popularity of her mother, Beverly, who is regarded as a hero. For a moment, we shift our focus to a high-ranking government official, the direct superior of Colonel Locke. He's seen descending into a secret underground facility to meet the elders of a clandestine organization, one that holds a vision and mission centered on racial purification, believing the white race to be supreme. The elders have received a piece of information, still unclear and unconfirmed, about the Colonel, a rumor claiming that he once had a romantic relationship with Beverly, roughly 14 years ago. As a result, the official, acting as the Colonel's superior, is pressured to immediately verify the truth behind the rumor, because if it turns out to be true, it would be considered a serious deviation from their ideology of racial purification.
What would you like me to do, sir?
Make it clean.
Back to Bob, who has just regained consciousness at the police station. He is immediately taken to a medical officer, who turns out to be one of Sergio's insiders, assigned to help with Bob's escape. The female medic then claims that Bob is suffering from diabetes and urgently needs treatment, even though it is nothing more than a ruse designed to get Bob away from the police.
Straight down the hall to the right.
Hey, Bob!
Just as Bob successfully escapes with Sergio, we see the colonel tracking Willa, who is being taken by an unknown woman. Located in a desert region, the colonel manages to pinpoint the location of the secret shelter, thanks to information provided by local residents in the area. It doesn't take long for the colonel to raid the shelter. Everyone inside is immediately taken to the police station, except for Willa, who is secretly escorted to another room to meet the colonel, who is already waiting for her there. Remember, the colonel's main objective is to confirm whether Willa is truly his biological child or not. He has brought a special device capable of analyzing a person's DNA, and it only takes a few minutes for the results to appear. While waiting for the results to come out, the colonel appears extremely nervous as he faces Willa directly. If it turns out that Willa is indeed his biological child, then the colonel has no choice but to eliminate her immediately. Like a piece of evidence, Willa is the living proof of his past relationship with Beverly, a black woman. And if this information were ever to reach his superior, the government official, he would not only lose his position, but his life would also be in danger, as it would be considered a grave and unforgivable violation.
How old are you now? You have a boyfriend?
Did you love her?
Do you think you're my daughter?
A few minutes pass, and finally the DNA test results come out. So, can you guess what the result is? Believe it or not, Willa is indeed the biological daughter of Colonel Lockjaw. At the very same time, Bob is being driven by Sergio toward the location of the secret shelter, following the information they received earlier. However, with security forces actively patrolling the area, Bob is forced to jump out of the moving car to avoid being detected. Using a stolen car of unknown ownership, Bob immediately speeds toward the hills to rescue Willa, who is still there. Arriving just in time, Bob manages to see Willa being escorted by the colonel into a vehicle, but after coming under fire from the troops, Bob quickly jumps back into the car and begins the chase. Meanwhile, the colonel takes Willa to a remote location to meet one of his operatives. Unable to bring himself to kill his own flesh and blood with his own hands, the colonel orders his subordinate to hand Willa over to a local thug who is rumored to frequently carry out executions on minors. After handing Willa over to his operative, the colonel immediately drives back toward his troops. However, in the middle of the road, his car is overtaken by another vehicle that signals him to slow down, and suddenly, that man turns out to be a professional hitman, sent directly by the official, who is also the colonel's superior. Whatever the colonel's fate may be, the story then shifts to Willa, who has already arrived at the location of the local thugs, who are prepared to execute her. After handcuffing Willa to a chair, the operative gets back into his car. But after a moment of reflection, his conscience tells him that what he is doing is deeply wrong. Realizing he cannot go through with it, the operative quickly returns, frees Willa, and kills all of the thugs at the scene. Tragically, the operative is also killed in the shootout that just took place. Realizing that she is now completely alone, Willa quickly takes the car keys from the operative and immediately drives away, leaving the place as fast as she can. On the road, Willa, who is driving, is suddenly chased by a car. It turns out to be the same professional hitman who killed the colonel earlier. In a situation like this, Willa remains calm and clear-headed, using the up and down terrain of the road to her advantage. When she gains enough distance, Willa quickly gets out of her car and the hitman immediately gets out of his car after accidentally crashing into Willa's vehicle. However, Willa is already waiting for him on the side of the road, holding a pistol in her hand. As a result, not long after, Bob appears, having been in pursuit all this time. Seeing two crashed cars in the middle of the road, he immediately gets out, gripping a firearm. In the end, the two of them finally reunite and quickly leave the area together. And incredibly, the colonel proves just how resilient he is, even after being shot directly in the face. Sometime after the incident, the colonel, now living with a severely damaged face, still confidently presents himself before his superior, the high-ranking official, to remain part of the organization. The colonel admits that Willa is indeed his biological child. However, he claims it all happened unintentionally 14 years ago, According to his confession, he says he was taken hostage by Beverly and her group, then turned into a victim who was forced to have a sexual relationship against his will. At a glance, even an ordinary person hearing the Colonel's confession would immediately sense how utterly illogical it sounded, especially to a high-ranking official like his superior, who would certainly not believe such a story so easily. Yet strangely, Colonel Lockjaw remains overwhelmingly confident. He truly believes that every word of his confession has been accepted without question by his superior. That confidence only grows when he is invited into a new office, complete with a new position of power. Proudly, the Colonel sits down in his new chair, completely unaware that his superior has already prepared a deadly trap. Moments later, a poisonous gas is quietly released through the building's ventilation system. After Colonel Lockjaw's story truly comes to an end, the focus shifts to Willa, who is now forced to accept the painful truth that Bob is not her biological father. Even at such a young age, Willa is able to think wisely. She chooses not to tell Bob about this fact. The sincere love and care Bob has given her since she was a baby have made Willa see him as more than just a biological father. To her, blood no longer matters. What matters is the man who raised her, protected her, and loved her unconditionally. And so, there is nothing left to say, except thank you, and to continue living life normally, just as they always have. As for Beverly, no one truly knows where she is now, whether she is still alive or long gone. However, according to rumors circulating from village to village, Beverly is said to be enjoying a new life, working as a dancer at a carnival somewhere in Zimbabwe. A quiet mystery remains around her fate, but the story ultimately comes to an end, with an ending that feels bittersweet, yet deeply satisfying. The message we can take from this film is that the truth does not always have to be spoken. This does not mean justifying lies, but rather emphasizing the importance of wisdom in delivering the truth. There are moments when staying silent or choosing not to reveal the whole truth can actually prevent greater pain, destruction, and harm. The film teaches us that truth without empathy can turn into a weapon, and honesty without consideration can hurt more deeply than a lie itself. That is why wisdom, good intentions, and the impact of our words should always come first. As the simple yet powerful saying goes, if what you're going to say isn't kind, it's better to stay silent.